What's up, guys? I'm back. This is an impromptu live stream. This is for the people that are interested in socionics and typology. Um, I thought I would either make a new channel talking about personality theory. There's times that I try to get away from it, but it doesn't seem to be successful. I don't seem to be able to um, get away from it because I find it extremely interesting and dynamic. And the reality is, it's talking about personality theory uh, of people, obviously. And because of that, whenever you meet someone new or a new situation occurs, the theory becomes um, it becomes interesting again. And so I can't quite escape it. But maybe I shouldn't. Maybe that's the problem. Who knows? But I might make a new channel. I might devote more specific stuff towards um typology and edited videos. I've noticed that out of the two, I prefer to do live streams because the edited videos are better in production, and if people want me to do that, then I guess I probably would. But Um, I just kind of like going off of the dome. It just seems more, it feels more natural. Um, and I don't know. So I wanted to we can kind of get into the thought that I was wanting to talk about, which is the stubborn function in regards to socionics, and I'm just going to think some thoughts about it and give examples and interact with the idea. So in regards to the stubborn function, I believe in Model A, Jack refers to it as stubborn versus flexible. More classic OSHRA terminology is inert, contact inert. And basically, inert and contact, just those terms in and of themselves, inert basically means that you're not really receiving any more information in that um, position. That function functions in a inert manner. Whatever the element that's placed within that function is not looking for any more external um, consideration. It's not really trying to change its mind, so to speak. And so it's inert. It's fixed. It's static. It is stubborn. It's not really trying to adjust. You give it more information, it says, "Yeah, I hear that information. Um, no thanks. I think I have it under control. You can go back to your way of thinking about it, and that's fine by me." Whereas contact or flexible is exactly what it seems like, that you are more willing to take in more information and potentially change your mind and adopt a new perspective in regards to that element that is flexible. Which it's not overly complicated. That idea doesn't sound too complex. And so I'm just going to think of I'm going to look up something and see in terms of the elements what exactly that would look like. There's another way of referring to it: yielding versus obstinate. You could say that. Well, that might be a little bit. You might not want to say that only because you don't want to conflate those terms with the types that are yielding versus obstinate in terms of the Riemann dichotomies. I believe that's what that is. So, let me see. And again, that concept, stubborn versus flexible, that's a really crazy idea. That does, I mean, basically every typological system has that concept. OPS has it with masculine, feminine. Um, um, I'm trying to think what other systems that you could um, maybe in CT, the Sealy versus unsealy or guarded versus unguarded. There basically in every system you have static and dynamic aspects within the system that are similar. Masculine and feminine, for example, in OPS is very correlative to the idea of stubborn versus flexible functions. So if you have let's see, if you have, for example, a TE base, so that would be LSE, ESTJ, and LIE in Socionics. They're not they're going to be very intolerant of information that is factually inaccurate. So if you are articulating something claiming that it is a fact, the TE and it's not only the TE leads, anyone that has um stubborn logic. So that would be um or just even the position, base, ignoring, mobilizing, and polar. So for, let's say, an IEE, which is NIFE, they would be stubborn on NT. They would be stubborn on both types of intuition and both types of logic. So NE, NI, TE, and TI. So that's true regardless of the type based upon the function. And your base, your ignoring, your mobilizing, and your polar are going to be always inert or stubborn. But especially those that have a higher strength in the area, it seems like um they are more, you could say, in a sense, more stubborn because the base leads the show for every type. So that's of utmost concern to any type is their base, um the base function and the element associated with the base. So they can be intolerant of factual inaccuracies, and if someone is uh saying this or that and giving their opinion, so to speak, and it's factually wrong, other types don't seem to be as resistant or obstinate in regards to that. They'll kind of be like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not right, but whatever. I'll let you go on and say what you're going to say. Whereas a TE base wouldn't do that. Especially if they're in some type of heated debate, because it's stubborn, and it's valued, and it's bold, and it's in the ego block. All these things make it very potent. I could see, for example, someone that has TE mobilizing where it's still inert because the mobilizing is inert, and there's a sense of stubbornness, but it's not in all circumstances going to be um as confident. There are times that it will be overly confident and make a fool of itself out of that overconfidence and jump back into the waters that are more native to them, which would be for an NEFI, an IEE would be FE. They could do that well. Um, they know that they can manage the moods of those in the environment and to emotionally feed into some environment in a positive way. They can do that very well. It's almost so easy that if anyone were to harp on it, they would see that as overkill because, of course, who can't grasp the idea that you should that there's a certain prevailing emotional environment that I'm contributing to or negating from, whatever. I have some dynamic relationship to this emotional field, and I have the power to affect it positively or negatively. These are things that they're already comprehending. It seems to be like, why would you ever Why would you ever stubbornly, because they're not stubborn in regards to ethics, which no one is stubborn in regards to their creative and their demonstrative. They are flexible, they're contact, they're things that you can use interchangeably, that given the circumstances, you can use this or that, you can use this or that type of logic, this or that type of sensing, so on and so forth, and there's no sweat off your back. So people that are aggressive and forceful in that area, that they're pushing this, obviously it would make sense that you would be like, dude, you're doing too much, right? That's the kind of energy. Chill out, take a breather, get some water. It's going to be okay. And the irony is, where you seem to be relatively flexible in that example of the logic, or more specifically, the creative and the demonstrative for whatever type it is, having that attitude of flexibility, hey, bro, get a drink, it's not that serious, to someone else's stubborn, inert function. Um, you conversely are stubborn and inert and static and inflexible in some other way that some other person is flexible. So you see that kind of interchange between flexibility and inertness, so to speak, that everyone has. When we all know this is intuitive. You meet someone that, in certain areas of their life, things that they're perceiving or they're taking in, or there's certain informational domains that they seem to be relatively at ease with. They don't really, there's no sweat off their back. They're not stressing about it. When other people kind of get all crazy, they're like, what's going on? Like, you're doing too much. You can imagine, um, I don't know, maybe someone who has some form of, this is a kind of generic, very generic example, but imagine an old school dad who he's chilling out after work, and he's at his home, and he's throwing his feet up on the couch watching ESPN or Sports Center, and they have a birthday party that night for their kid, and the wife is some ESE or something in the kitchen getting crazy, and she's like, "Hey, Bob, we got to get ready for this. Like, we got to make sure the food's, good, and all these things or whatever." She's stressing over, or making sure that when they get there, that people are getting along and that the environment is peaceful, and it is, it is creating these positive, this mood, this prevailing mood of positivity, and so on and so forth. And this Bob character, um, you know, whatever type he is, if he's flexible with ethics, he doesn't really care that much. He's not like, it's not the end of the world if a different mood is created, or so and so doesn't get along with another person, because he's not neurotic over information that the function of it for him would be flexible, right? That's a terrible example. It's not really great, but you kind of get the idea that where someone's neurotic and stubborn, the other person, given their type, might be fairly calm and easygoing, and hey, it's not that big of a deal. Um, so in any sense, in any case, we already recognize that you know that exists. Or you could think of someone who is a stubborn intuitive type. Let's say an ILI, which is NITE, someone who's aware of where things are going, how events within time are interrelated, and in a sense causally determined, that there's these kind of events that have natural consequences, and that throughout history you can see that the trend kind of evolved towards this end goal, this end um, outcome, so to speak. All NI bases are, well, there's only two, but the IEI and the ILI are aware of, you know, the events within time and how they lead to inevitable outcomes. Simply put, that's basically what NI lead is focusing on. And for the ILI, they're aware of the trends that have, um, blocked with TE, um, seeing what opportunities will lead to maximum benefit. and trends within the stock market, trends with these are just generic anecdotal examples, but trends within the economy, trends within technological um, advancement, or seeing how technology is unfolding, and trying to see where they will end up and being aware of where they're going to end up. They're not someone who is going to be positively um, interacting with ideas just for their own sake. If you're just throwing ideas at an ILI, they're going to negate all of the different possibilities to their more uh, preferred style of intuition, which is introverted intuition. Right? It's linear time versus hypothetical time, which would be NE, or counterfactuals, if then statements. If this happens, and then this is well, if thens can also apply to NI, but um, probabilistic situations and opportunities. You know, you could say that. How annoying. Um, yeah. So that's so distracting. Anyway, um, but that's the kind of thing that they're aware of. They can see the different possibilities, but they aren't trying to interact with them just because there's fun and cool ideas that they can think about. They're trying to figure out the lowest common denominator of what is most probable, what is in a sense inevitable. That's what they're trying to focus on. So they're going to be against stubbornly pushing against these different possibilities, and they might shut you down. If you're in a situation where you're close to an ILI or whatever the case is, work with one, and you start throwing out these possible outcomes and different points of view and perspectives, ideas, novel solutions, so on and so forth, they will not necessarily yield to that. They have a keen understanding. If we do this, X, Y, and Z are basically inevitable. Um, and so I'm not even going to think about what you're talking about, because that's irrational and I don't really care that much about it. So you kind of get the idea. This is the idea of stubborn flexible. Um, I will most likely get into more type conversations. If you guys want me to make more videos that are better produced and more entertaining, I guess, then I might do that. I might mix and mash. I kind of like doing live streams. Oh, it stopped. Imagine that. Um, yeah, but we'll see what happens. All right, peace, guys.